Hello, everybody. Well, it's time again. Time to look at the best of the best of all Star Trek movies. Ready for this? Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Ha 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 ha. Let me tell you guys, this movie rocks. Now, just want to warn you guys, even though this is the best Star Trek movie, it's not my personal favorite, okay? It may be a personal favorite of some of you other guys out there, but for me, my personal favorite is Star Trek 4. I do like Star Trek 2. I do think it's the best, but it's not my personal favorite. So, there we go. Now, plot of this movie. Well, basically, this movie is a follow-up of sorts to an episode of the original series called Space Seed, where we got introduced to the character of Khan Noonien Singh, played by who else? Ricardo Montalban, who many of you guys might remember as a grandpa from the second and third Spy Kids movies. Yeah, I'm not kidding. That was him. Well, anywho, basic plot of Star Trek 2 is that, well, oh, sorry about that. But anyway, like I said, basic plot of Star Trek 2, it's Kirk's 50th birthday, and, well, he's an admiral again, obviously. And, of course, he goes on an inspection tour of the Enterprise, and while that's going on, Chekov is now the first officer under Captain Terrell, played by Paul Winfield, who you guys might remember from a certain Next Generation episode called Darmok. Well, anywho, Chekov and Terrell beam down to City Alpha, to what they think is City Alpha 6, but when they find Khan and company there, it turns out it's City Alpha 5. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. How was Khan able to recognize Chekov and vice versa, even though Chekov wasn't on the show when Space Seed was aired? Explanation, and this is one by Walter Koenig himself. Chekov made Khan wait an extraordinarily long time to use the bathroom, and when Chekov came out, he told Khan that the bathroom that he just came out of was clogged and that he needed to find one on a different deck. That's the explanation, and I'm sticking with that, so there we go. And also, Chekov was a lower-ranking officer at the time, so that's why we never saw him, so there we go. End of discussion. So, anywho, and the reason that Chekov and Terrell are out there is because they're looking for a lifeless planet to test Project Genesis, which basically is a device that can create life on lifeless planets. But if it was introduced to a planet full of life, it will wipe out all life in favor of its new matrix, according to Spock. So yeah. Yeah, that's pretty interesting if I do say so myself. Well, anywho, later on we get this really cool fight between the Enterprise and the Reliant, which is the ship that Khan stole. And plus, we also get to meet Carol Marcus and David Marcus, who was Kirk's son, played by Merritt Buttrick, who of course reprised his role in the sequel, and of course was mentioned in Star Trek 4, and of course in Star Trek 6, and blah 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 blah, etc. etc. So yeah. But anyway, after that, Khan steals the Genesis device, and of course we got the infamous line from the movie when Kirk says, "Khan!" Most memorable line from a Star Trek movie ever. So then after that, we get the epic battle in the Nebula, but unfortunately the damage to Enterprise is too great that ultimately Spock sacrifices himself in order to save the crew, and of course, the Genesis planet is formed. Yay! And so on and so forth. So yeah, that's basically the general plot of Star Trek 2. Surprises. Kirstie Elias Savick. Yeah. Sadly, she wasn't able to reprise the role in Star Trek 3 and 4. However, she was approached to come back as Savick for Star Trek 6, but sadly, that did not happen. Grrr. Anywho, I'm going to minimize this a little bit so I can pull up the film factoids from IMDb. Okay, here we go. Okay. Alright. Now remember guys, I'm only reading like the first 10 or 15 of these, so bear with me here. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to guys the first 5. Just for fun. Okay. Well, here we go. Film factoid numero uno. Director Nicholas Meyer envisioned the film as the ultimate extension of Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry's idea of Horatio Hornblower in space. Therefore, prior to filming, he had the cast watch Horatio Hornblower RN for inspiration. Film factoid number 2. Producer Howard Bennett viewed all the original Star Trek episodes and chose Space Seed as the best candidate for a sequel. Spock even remarks in the script that it would be interesting to return 100 years or so to see what type of civilization had grown there. This is the first time a movie was made as a sequel to a Pacific television show episode. Nice. In space, approximately 80 genetically engineered supermen were left behind in Ceti Alpha 5 by the Enterprise. At the time of this film, only 15, including Khan, are left. 20 were killed by Ceti eels, the rest by other means, presumably as a result of the explosion of Ceti Alpha 6. Ha! Okay. Hey, get back here. Okay. Number 3. The Enterprise torpedo room and space lab transport sets were originally parts of the Klingon bridge built for Star Trek The Motion Picture. In order to save money, shots of the Enterprise departing from dock and to space were taken from the first Star Trek movie. The space lab model, that is, of the orbiting space office, turned upside down and with some cosmetic changes from the first Star Trek movie. This movie was produced by the Paramount Television Division and released by the Feature Film Division in order to avoid the then astronomical $43 million cost of the first feature film. Wow. Okay. And last one. In a Starlog interview titled The Man Who Killed Spock after the movie was released, Howard Bennett said that 1. He wrote a scene where Chekhov on the relayed calls up data for the Ceti Alpha system and remembers Khan and tells Terrell. That was written out and became the "You never told your captain the tale" sequence on the planet. 2. The Ceti system was always a binary star system, hence the Alpha. The idea was for planets 5 and 6 have varying orbits similar to Neptune and Pluto, where they would cross in and out of each other's orbits, thus confusion. You thought this was Ceti Alpha 6. The unstable orbits caused the explosion of Ceti Alpha 6, again written out. Number 3. Khan and Kirk were to have fought in the Genesis Cave foyer. Khan and his Supermen were believed to have psi powers similar to the Telosians. Kirk beats them by simply not believing in it. Khan then beams out the Genesis torpedo. With the Genesis torpedo. Well, we know that didn't happen. And 4. Radiation causes blood vessels to burst, and Spock was written to be covered in green blood. Leonard Nimoy objected, and the result was what you see. Wow. Interesting, isn't it? Well, anywho, guys, that's my review of Star Trek 2. I'll be back doing these reviews on Friday and all throughout the weekend of the remaining 9 Star Trek films. So, until then, live long and prosper. Peace out. Bye.